Chapter 8. The chapters regarding Zakat. Chapter 1. The obligation of Zakat. Ibn Abbas narrated that the Prophet sent Muad to Yemen and said, "You are going to some people among the people of the book. Call them to bear witness that none has the right to be worshipped but Allah, and that I am the messenger of Allah. If they obey that, then tell them that Allah has enjoined upon them 5 prayers every day and night. If they obey that, then tell them that Allah has enjoined upon them charity, zakat, from their wealth, to be taken from the rich and given to their poor. If they obey that, then beware of taking the best of their wealth, and beware of the supplication of the oppressed. For there is no barrier between and Allah." Great Sahih. Chapter 2. What was narrated concerning withholding Zakat? Abdullah bin Masud narrated that the Messenger of Allah said, "There is no one who does not pay Zakat on his wealth, but a bald-headed snake will be made to appear to him on the day of resurrection until it encircles his neck." Then the Messenger of Allah recited the following verse from the Book of Allah, the Most High: "And let not those who covetously withhold of that which Allah had bestowed on them of His bounty, wealth, think that is good for them." Great Sahih. Abu Dar narrated that the Messenger of Allah said, "There is no now owner of camels, sheep or cattle who does not pay zakat on them, but they will come on the day of resurrection as big and as fat as they ever were, butting him with their horns and trampling him with their hooves. Every time the of them has passed, the first of them will come back to him until judgment is passed upon the people." Great Sahih. Abu Huraira narrated that the Messenger of Allah said, "The camels on which the dues, zakat, were not paid will come, trampling their owners with their hooves, and cattle and sheep will come and trample at their owners with their hooves and butt them with their horns. And boarded treasure will come in the form of a bald-headed snail and will meet its owner on the day of resurrection. Its owner will flee from it 2 times. Then it will come to him and he will flee again and will say, 'What do I have to do with you?' And it will say, 'I am your hoarded treasure. I am your hoarded treasure.' He will try to shield himself with this hand and it will devour it." Great Sahih. Chapter 3. Wealth on which zakat is paid is not hoarded treasure. Khalid bin Aslam, the freed slave of Umar bin Khattab, said, "I went out with Abdullah bin Umar, and a Bedouin met him and recited to him the words of Allah. And those who hoard up gold and silver, the money, the zakah of which has not been paid, and spend them not in the way of Allah." Ibn Umar said to him, "The one who hoards it and does not pay zakat due on it, woe to him." But this was before the ruling on zakat was revealed. When it was revealed, Allah made it a purification of wealth. Then he turned away and said, "I do not mind if I have the equivalent of Uhud in gold, provided that I know how much it is and I pay zakat on it, and I use it in obedience of Allah, the Mighty and Sublime." Great Sahih. Abu Huraira narrated that the Messenger of Allah said, "When you pay zakat on your wealth, then you have done what is required to you." Great Hassan. Fatima bint Qais narrated that she heard him, meaning the Prophet, say, "There is nothing due on wealth other than zakat." Great Daif. Chapter 4. Zakat on silver and gold. Ali narrated that the Messenger of Allah said, I have exempted you from having to pay zakat on horses and slaves. Bring 1/4 of 1/10 of every 40 dirham, 1 dirham. Great Daif. Ibn Umar and Aisha narrated that from every 20 dinar or more, the Prophet used to take half a dinar, and from 40 dinar, 1 dinar. Great Hassan. Chapter 5. One who acquires wealth. It was narrated that Aisha said, I heard the Messenger of Allah say, there is no zakat on wealth until Havel, 1 year has passed. Great Hassan. Chapter 6. Wealth on which zakat is required. Abu Sa'id al-Khudri narrated that he heard the Prophet say, there is no sadaqah on anything less than 5 avsak of dates, 5 awak of silver, and 5 camels. Great Sahih. It was narrated from Jabir bin Abdullah that the Messenger of Allah said, there is no sadaqah on less than 5 camels, there is no sadaqah on less than 5 awak, and there is no sadaqah on less than 5 avsak. Great Sahih. Chapter 7. Paying zakat before it is due. Ali bin Abi Talib narrated that Abbas asked the Prophet about paying his sadaqah before it is due, and he granted him permission to do that. Great Daif. Chapter 8. What is to be said when zakat is paid? Abdullah bin Abu Awfa said, whenever a man brought sadaqah to the Messenger of Allah, he will bless him. I brought him the sadaqah of my wealth, and he said, Allahumma salli ala Ali Abi Awfa. O Allah, send blessing upon the family of Abu Awfa. Great Sahih. Abu Huraira narrated that the Messenger of Allah said, when you give zakat, do not forget its reward, and say, Allahumma alha maghnaman wa la taj alha maghrama. O Allah, make it a gain and do not make it a loss. Mavdu. Chapter 9. Sadaqah due on camels. Ibn Shihab narrated from Salim bin Abdullah from his father, from the Prophet. Ibn Shihab said, Salim read to me a letter that the Messenger of Allah had written concerning sadaqat before Allah caused him to pass away, in which it was said, for 5 camels 1 sheep, for 10 2 sheep, for 20 4 sheep, for 25 a bint makhad, a 1-year-old she-camel, up to 35. If there is no bint makhad, then a bin labun, a 2-year-old male camel. If there are more than 35, even 1, then a bint labun, a 2-year-old she-camel, must be given up to 45. If there are more than 45, even 1, then a hikka, a 3-year-old she-camel, up to 60 camels. If there are more than 60, even 1 more, then a jadha, a 4-year-old she-camel, must be given, up to 75. If there are more than 75, even 1 more, then 2 bint labun must be given, up to 90. If there are more than 90, even 1 more, then 2 hikka must be given, up to 120. If there are many camels, then for each 50, 1 hikka must be given, and for each 40, a bint labun. Great Hassan. It was narrated that Abu Sa'id al-Khudri said, the Messenger of Allah said, there is no sadaqah on any less than 5 camels, or for 4. If the number of camels reaches 5, then 1 sheep must be given, up to 9. If the number reaches 10, then 2 sheep must be given. Up to 14, if the number reaches 15, then 3 sheep must be given. Up to 19. If the number reaches 20, then 4 sheep must be given. Up to 24. If the number reaches 25, then a bint makad, a 1-year-old she-camel, must be given up to 35. If there is not bint makad, then a bin labun, a 2-year-old male camel. If there are more camels than a bint labun, a 2-year-old she-camel, up to 45. If there are more camels than a hikka, a 3-year-old she-camel must be given up to 60. If there are more camels than a jadha, a 5-year-old she-camel must be given up to 75. If there are more camels than 2 bint labun must be given up to 90. If there are more camels than 2 hikka must be given up to 120. For each 50, 1 hikka, and for each 40, a bint labun. Grade Hassan. Chapter 10. When the Zakat collector receives an animal that is 1 year younger or 1 year older than required, Anas bin Malik narrated that Abu Bakr Siddiq wrote to him, "In the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful, this is the obligation of Sadaqah, which the Messenger of Allah enjoined upon the Muslims, as Allah commanded the Messenger of Allah, the ages of camels to be given in Zakat may be made up in sheep. So if a man has camels on which the Sadaqah is a jadha, a 4-year-old she-camel, and he does not have a jadha, but he has a hikka, a 3-year-old she-camel, then the hikka should be accepted from him, and 2 sheep should be given in addition, if they are readily available, or 20 dirham. If a man has camels on which the sadaqah is a hikka, and he only has a bint labun, a 2-year-old she-camel, then the bint labun should be accepted from him, along with 2 sheep or 20 dirhams. If a man has camels on which the sadaqah is a bint labun, and he does not have one, but he has a hikka, then it should be accepted from him, and the zakat collector should give him back 20 dirham or 2 sheep. If a man has camels on which sadaqah is a bint labun, and he does not have one, but he has a bint makad, a 1-year-old she-camel, then the bint makad should be accepted from him, along with 20 dirham or 2 sheep. If a man has camels on which the sadaqah is a bint makad, and he does not have one, but he has a bint labun, then the bint labun should be accepted from him, and the zakat collector should give him back 20 dirhams or 2 sheep. Whoever does not have a bint makad, but he has a bint labun, a 2-year-old male camel, then it should be accepted from him, and nothing else should be given along with it. Great Sahih. Chapter 11. What kind of camels should be taken? It was narrated that Suwaid bin Ghafala said, "The zakat collector of the Prophet came to us, and I took him by the hand and read in his order, 'Do not gather separate herds, and do not separate herd for fear of sadaqah.' A man brought him a huge fat she-camel, but he refused to accept it. So he brought him another of lower quality, and he accepted it. He said, 'What land would shelter me if I came to the Messenger of Allah having taken the nest of a Muslim man's camels?' Great Daif. Jarir bin Abdullah narrated that the Messenger of Allah said, 'The zakat collector should not come back unless the people are pleased with him.' Great Sahih. Chapter 12. Sadaqah due on cattle. It was narrated that Suwa Muad bin Jabal said, 'The Messenger of Allah sent me to Yemen and commanded me for every 40 cows to take a musina, and for every 30 a tabi or tabiya.' Great Daif. Abdullah narrated that the Prophet said, 'For every 30 cattle tabi or tabiya, and for every 40 a musina. Great daif. Chapter 13. Sadaqah due on sheep. It was narrated from Ibn Shihab, from Salim bin Abdullah, from his father, from the Messenger of Allah. Salim said, my father read to me a letter that the Messenger of Allah had written about Sadaqat before Allah caused him to pass away. I read in it, for 40 sheep, 1 sheep, up to 120. If there is more than that, even 1, then 2 sheep, up to 200. If there is 1 more than that, even 1, then 3 sheep, up to 300. If there are many sheep, then for each 100, 1 sheep. And I read in it, separate flocks should not be combined, and a combined flock should not be separated. And I read in it, and a male goat should not be taken for sadaqah, nor a disrepute, nor defective animal. Great Hassan. Ibn Umar narrated that the Messenger of Allah said, the sadaqah of Muslims should be taken at their watering places. Ibn Umar narrated that the Messenger of Allah said, for 40 sheep, 1 sheep up to 120. If there is 1 more, then 2 sheep up to 200. If there is 1 more, then 3 sheep up to 300. If there are more than that, then for every 101 sheep. Do not separate combined flock, and do not combine separate flocks for fear of sadaqah. Each partner who has a share in the flock should pay in proportion to his shares, and the zakat collector should not accept any disrepute or defective animal, nor any male goat, unless he wishes to. Great Hassan. Chapter 14. What was narrated concerning the collectors of zakat. Anas bin Malik narrated that the Messenger of Allah said, the one who is unjust in sadaqah is like the one who withholds it. Great Hassan. It was narrated that Rafi bin Khadij said, I heard the Messenger of Allah say, the person who is appointed to collect the sadaqah, who does so with sincerity and fairness, is like one who goes out to fight for the sake of Allah until he returns to the house. Great Hassan. Abdullah bin Unais said that he and Umar bin Khattab were speaking about sadaqah one day, and Umar bin Khattab said, did you not hear the Messenger of Allah when he mentioned gulul with the sadaqah and said, whoever steals a camel or a sheep from it, he will be brought carrying it on the day of resurrection? Abdullah bin Unais said, yes. Great Hassan. Ibrahim bin Atta, the freed slave of Imran bin Hussein, said, my father told me that Imran bin Hussein was appointed to collect the sadaqah. When he came back, it was said to him, where is the wealth? He said, what was it for wealth that you sent me? We took it from where we used to take it at the time of the Messenger of Allah, and we distributed it where we used to distribute it. Great Hassan. Chapter 15. Sadaqah due on horses and slaves. Abu Hurayta narrated that the Messenger of Allah said, the Muslim is not obliged to pay sadaqah on his slave, not his horse. Great Sahih. Ali narrated that the Messenger of Allah said, I have exempted you from having to pay sadaqah on horses and slaves. Great Hassan. Chapter 16. Wealth on which zakat is due. Mu'ad bin Jabal narrated that the Messenger of Allah sent him to Yemen and said to him, take grains from grains, sheep from sheep, camels from camels, and cows from cows. It was narrated from Amr bin Shu'aib from his father that his grandfather said, the Messenger of Allah only prescribed zakat on these 5 things, wheat, barley, dates, raisins and corn. Great Da'if. Chapter 17. Sadaqah due on crops and fruits. Abu Huraira narrated that the Messenger of Allah said, for crops that are irrigated by the sky, i.e. rain and springs, 1/10. For those that are irrigated by watering, 1/2 of 1/10. Great Hassan. Salim narrated that his father said, I heard the Messenger of Allah say, for whatever is irrigated by the sky, rivers and springs, or draws up water from deep roots, 1/10. For whatever is irrigated by animals, by artificial means, 1/2 of 1/10. Great Sahih. It was narrated that Mu'ad bin Jabal said, the Messenger of Allah sent me to Yemen and commanded me to take 1/10 of that which was irrigated by deep roots, and to take 1/2 of 1/10 of that which was irrigated by means of buckets. Great Da'if. Chapter 18. Assessment of date palms and grape wines. Atab bin Asid narrated that the Prophet used to send to the people one who would assess their vineyards and fruits. Great Da'if. Ibn Abbas narrated that when the Prophet conquered Khaybar, he stipulated that the land and all the yellow and white, meaning gold and silver, belonged to him. The people of Khaybar said to him, we know the land better, so give it to us so that we may work the land, and you will have half of its produce, and we will have half. He maintained that he gave it to them on that basis. When the time for the date harvest came, he sent Ibn Rawaha to them. He assesses the date palms, and he said, for this tree such and such amount. They said, you are demanding too much of us, O Ibn Rawaha. He said, this is my assessment, and I will give you half of what I say. They said, this is fair, and fairness is what heaven and earth are based on. They said, we agree to take, accept what you say. Great Hassan. Chapter 19. Prohibition of giving the worst of one's wealth as sadaqah. It was narrated that Auf bin Malik al-Ashja said, the Messenger of Allah went out, and a man had hung up one or more bunches of dates. He, the Prophet, had a stick in his hand, and he started hitting that bunch of dates repeatedly, saying, if the owner of these dates wanted to give in charity, he should have given something better than these. The owner of this charity will eat rotten and shriveled dates on the day of resurrection. Great Hassan. It was narrated that Bara bin Asib said concerning the verse, and of that which we have produced from the earth for you, and done not aim at that which is bad to spend from it. Al-Baqarah 267. This was revealed concerning the Ansar. At the time of the new date palm harvest, they would take a bunch of dates that were beginning to ripen and hang it on a rope between two of the pillars in the mosque of the Messenger of Allah, and the poor emigrants would eat from it. One of them deliberately mixed a bunch containing rotten and shriveled dates, and thought this was permissible because of the large number of dates that had been put there. So the following was revealed about the one who did that, and do not aim at that which is bad to spend from it, meaning do not seek out the rotten and shriveled dates to give in charity, thought you would not accept it, save if you close your eyes and tolerate therein, meaning if you were given this as a gift, you would only accept it because you felt embarrassed, and you would get angry that he had sent something of which you have no need, and know that Allah has no need of your charity. Great Hassan. Chapter 20. Zakat due on honey. It was narrated that Abu Sayyara al-Mutta said, I said, O Messenger of Allah, I have bees. He said, give 1/10. I said, O Messenger of Allah, protect it for me. And he protected it for me. Great Hassan. Abdullah bin Amr narrated that the Prophet took 1/10 of honey as zakat. Great Hassan. Chapter 21. Sadakat al-Fitr. Ibn Umar narrated that the Messenger of Allah enjoined Zakatul Fitr, 1 sa of dates or 1 sa of barley. Abdullah said, the people made 2 mud, equal to half of a sa, of wheat as its equivalent. Great Sahih. It was narrated that Umar said, the Messenger of Allah enjoined Sadaqatul Fitr, 1 sa of barley or 1 sa of dates for every Muslim, free or slave, male or female. Great Sahih. It was narrated that Ibn Abbas said, the Messenger of Allah enjoined Zakatul Fitr as a purification for the fasting person from idle talk and obscenities, and to feed the poor. Whoever pays it before the Eid prayer, it is an accepted zakah, and whoever pays it after the prayer, it is ordinary charity. Great Hassan. It was narrated that Qais bin Sa'd said, the Messenger of Allah enjoined Sadaqatul Fitr upon us before the command of zakat was revealed. He neither ordered us to pay nor forbade us from paying it, so we did it. Great Sahih. It was narrated that Abu Sa'id al-Khudri said, we used to pay Zakatul Fitr when the Messenger of Allah was among us, 1 sa of food, 1 sa of dates, 1 sa of barley, 1 sa of sun-baked cottage cheese, 1 sa of raisins. We continued to do that until Muawiyah came to us in Al-Madinah. One of the things he said to the people was, I think that 2 mud wheat from Sham is equivalent to 1 sa of this, dates. So the people followed that. Abu Sa'id said, I'll continue to pay it as I used to pay it at the time of Messenger of Allah, for as long as I live. Great Sahih. It was narrated from Ammar bin Sa'id, the Mu'adhin of the Messenger of Allah, from his father, that the Messenger of Allah enjoined Sadaqatul Fitr, 1 sa of dates, 1 sa of barley, or 1 sa of sult, a kind of barley without skin on it, resembling wheat. Great Sahih. Chapter 22. Usher and Karaj. It was narrated that Allah bin Hadrami said, the Messenger of Allah sent me to Bahrain or Hajar. I used to go to a garden that was shared by some brothers, one of whom had become Muslim. I would take the Usher, 1/10 of the harvest from the Muslim, and Karaj from the Mushrik. Great Daif. Chapter 23. A wask is 60 sa. Abu Sa'id narrated and attributed to the Prophet, a wask is 60 sa. Great Daif. It was narrated that Jabir bin Abdullah said, the Messenger of Allah said, a wask is 60 sa. Great Daif. Chapter 24. Giving charity to relatives. It was narrated that Zainab, the wife of Abdullah, said, I asked the Messenger of Allah, will it be accepted as charity on my part if I spend on my husband and the orphans in my care? The Messenger of Allah said, she will have 2 rewards, the reward for charity and the reward for upholding ties of kinship. Great Sahih. It was narrated that Salama said, "The Messenger of Allah enjoined charity upon us." Zainab, the wife of Abdullah, said, "Will it be accepted as charity on my part if I give charity to my husband who is poor, and to the children of a brother of mine who are orphans, spending such and such on them, and in all circumstances?" He said, "Yes." Great Sahih. Chapter 25. Begging is disliked. It was narrated from Hisham bin Urwa from his father that his grandfather said, "The Messenger of Allah said, if one of you were to take his rope or ropes and go to the mountains and bring a bundle of firewood on his back to sell, and thus become independent of means, that would be better for him than begging from people who may either give him something or not give him anything." Great Sahih. Abdur Rahman bin Yazid narrated that Thawban said, "The Messenger of Allah said, who will commit himself to one thing, I will guarantee him paradise." I said, "I will." He said, "Do not ask people for anything." So Thawban would drop his whip while he was on his mount, and he would not say to anyone, "Get that for me." Rather, he would dismount and grab it. Great Sahih. Chapter 26. One who asks when he is not in need. Abu Huraira narrated that the Messenger of Allah said, "Whoever begs from people so as to accumulate more riches, he is asking for a live coal from hell. So let him ask for a lot or a little." Great Sahih. Abu Huraira narrated that the Messenger of Allah said, "Charity is not permissible for a rich person or for one who is strong and healthy." Great Sahih. Abdullah bin Masud narrated that the Messenger of Allah said, "Whoever begs when he has enough to suffice him, his begging will come on the day of resurrection, like lacerations on his face." It was said, "O Messenger of Allah, what is sufficient for him?" He said, 50 dirham, or their value in gold. Great Daif. Chapter 27. For whom is charity permissible? Abu Sayyid al-Khudri narrated that the Messenger of Allah said, "Charity is not permissible for a rich man, except in 5 cases. One who is appointed to collect it, a warrior fighting in the cause of Allah, a rich man who buys it with his own money, a poor man who receives the charity and gives it as a gift to a rich man, and a debtor." Great Sahih. Chapter 28. The virtue of charity. Sayyid bin Yasar narrated that he heard Abu Huraira say, "The Messenger of Allah said, no one gives charity from good sources, for Allah does not accept anything but that which is good. But the most merciful takes it in his right hand, even if it is a date, and it flourishes in the hand of the most merciful until it becomes bigger than a mountain, and he tends it as any one of you would tend to his colt, young pony, or his young weaned camel." Great Sahih. Adi bin Hatim narrated that the Messenger of Allah said, "Each one of you will be spoken to by his Lord, with no mediator between them. He will look in from of him, and the fire will be facing him. He will look to his right and will not see anything but something that he had sent on before. He will look to his left and will not see anything but something that he had sent on before. Whoever among you can save himself in fire, even with half a date, let him do so." Great Sahih. Salman bin Amir Dabi narrated that the Messenger of Allah said, "Charity given to the poor is charity, and that given to a relative is two things, charity and upholding the ties of kinship." Great Sahih.